Welcome to Series 3, Episode 1 of Arelyel Rolls for Sandwiches. I am Reese and I will be hosting this recording today, so let's get started. Of course, Roll for Sandwich is inspired by Adventures in Ardia, so be sure to check out Adventures in Ardia on both YouTube and TikTok. We do things a little bit differently here on Arelyel Rolls for Sandwich compared to Adventures in Ardia. The first thing we do that's a little bit different is the roll for alignment. So this is kind of how we determine what kind of chaos we're going to be doing for today's sandwich. So let us roll for alignment, shall we? And today we get 7, which is chaotic good. So Google Gemini will be deciding our sandwich today. Okay, well, the good news, sort of, with the Google Gemini roll is that we're not going to have to roll anything else for Roll for Sandwich today because Google Gemini is going to completely decide our sandwich. The bad news is I've had to go through the entire list of all of the ingredients for our Roll for Sandwich in order to tell Google Gemini what we have. And I'm going to prompt Google Gemini to make a sandwich recipe using only the ingredients from our list. So we're going to go ahead and generate. So Google Gemini came up with something called savory tuna melt on rye. So we're going to need 2 slices of Jewish rye bread, 1 can canned tuna, drained, 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise, 1 slice of American cheese, 1 tablespoon of white onion, finely diced, 1/2 teaspoon of dill weed, and salt and pepper to taste. And then they even have instructions. So with that being said, we're going to go through the instructions one by one. So let's start with this. In a small bowl, combine the drained canned tuna, mayonnaise, finely diced white onion, dill weed, and a pinch of salt and pepper. Mix well until all ingredients are thoroughly combined. Alright, first off, we got Berman's Real Mayonnaise. We're using Chicken of the Sea, chunk light tuna. And we're going to be using Kroger brand dill weed. And this is what we get when we combined all of those ingredients together. Looks pretty good to me if you ask me. Alright, we're going to do the next 2 steps in succession here. The next one being lay out the 2 slices of Jewish rye bread and then evenly spread the mixture on 1 slice of the bread. And once we get the mixture on there, on the slice of bread, it looks like this. Next up on our instructions, we're going to top the tuna mixture with a slice of American cheese. Well, if you ask me, considering that these slices of bread are a little elongated, I would have probably put 2 slices on, but we are following the instructions of the AI, so 1 slice of American cheese. And then the AI calls for us to put the other slice on top, just like so. And next, we're going to heat the sandwich, we're going to heat a skillet or a frying pan over medium heat. And then you can lightly butter the outside of the bread if desired for extra crispiness. I've consulted with my sidekick Rainbow Bridge and we decided we will butter the outside of the bread for extra crispiness. I can't show you the pan on camera, but the next instruction, now that the pan is heated, is we're going to carefully place our sandwich in the hot skillet. Cook for 3 to 4 minutes per side or until the bread is golden brown and the cheese is melted and bubbly. Alright, we moved the sandwich from the pan. We followed the instructions of Gemini exactly as they told us. And unfortunately, we got a burnt sandwich. I think the 3 to 4 minutes that they given us was a little bit too long, and this was 3 minutes that we cooked this sandwich. So we'll have to give this a taste test and see how that burntness pans out. Alright, here's what it looks like on the inside. Pretty messy sandwich if you ask me. Alright, ready for the taste test?
Crunch. Would have been better if the bread wasn't burnt.
Yeah, I mean, this was pretty good for me, but it definitely could have been better. If the sandwich was pretty much done after 2 minutes in the pan, but so I think the Gemini should have instructed us 2 to 3 minutes. I do really like the insides though, the tuna melt portion.
Yeah, the tuna mixture turned out pretty darn good.
I think it would be even better if we had celery in it though. Unfortunately though, it wasn't a matter of the dice gods betraying us with the celery. We actually don't have celery right now.
No, this isn't bad.
It's pretty good if you can take away the burnt part of the bread. I mean, the burnt bread doesn't really detract all that much from the sandwich. It's still pretty good, despite it being burnt.
Right.
Can't let any of it go to waste.
Nope.
I think all in all, I'll give that sandwich a 9 out of 10 because it was really good despite the burnt bread. The burnt bread only made it slightly less enjoyable, but it was still a really good sandwich, I think. Especially coming from AI. But Google Gemini, you're going to need to fix your cooking times a little bit. What do you think, Rainbow Bridge?
I give it a 9.
Rainbow Bridge gives it a 9 as well, so our official score for today's sandwich is 9 out of 10. And we are going to call this sandwich Dilly Tuna on Toast. Thank you everybody for enjoying this first episode of Season 3 of Arelyel Rolls for Sandwich. And again, be sure to check out Adventures in Ardia, who does the original Roll for Sandwich series. You can find Adventures in Ardia on YouTube and TikTok.